We're going live. Computer is so bad, it can't do two things at once because it's running on an i3 processor.
Wow.
Okay.
Testing. Ooh, it looks nice on Series X.
Testing. Putting that on my Discord. There we go. Beauty.
Is it Cyberpunk? Okay, I got it up now.
Yep, gameplay is Cyberpunk. Yeah, I recorded it today. So during the gameplay, I switched between performance and quality mode, so you can kind of see the difference, hopefully. But
maybe boost Harley like a hair, just like a hair, like one or two notches. That'd be it.
Testing.
boost Harley a hair.
Like yeah, whatever.
Hold on, no.
Just a hair.
Like one point.
You're at 110% volume now, Harley. Should be a little better.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's good.
That's pretty bad.
You know what I think I need to do? I think I need to... Harley needs to go up a little, and Jim, you need to go down like 5%. There we go.
Yeah, I got a loud voice, so that helps.
So I think...
Sorry for
I don't know.
listening. I know I do have a loud voice.
There we go. Okay. I don't know if that actually made any difference. I'm going to turn you guys both up a little bit, but that's okay.
If anybody watching in the chat, let us know right near the beginning how the voice levels are.
I also just put a voice gate on my microphone, so I'm hoping that cuts out some of the breathing sounds. So
a voice gate.
Yeah, it's like a setting you can put a filter on it in OBS.
Oh.
So it shouldn't capture anything below or above a certain threshold. So it should, in theory, help with breathing and junk. But I'll try to respect the mute button as well.
That's good.
But speaking of respect,
try not to breathe.
Exactly, I'm just not going to breathe.
Speaking of respect, what?
That was a really bad transition. I don't know where I was going, but
respect my tracers. Welcome to Respect My Tracers.
RMT. Oh no.
Damn it.
Oh, I'm a little loud? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm a little loud. I can turn that down. That's probably a little better. There we go. We're probably hanging around the same levels. You guys, we're in that giggly mood. We're doing the podcast.
I gotta mute myself for like 10 seconds.
Okay.
Do the intro.
Okay, I'll get it started. All right, everyone. Welcome to Follow My Tracers. You can see that this week is going perfectly so far. We're live on YouTube. I'm one of your hosts, Figure09, aka Tony. Today, I'm joined by Harley. Harley, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing good. Day off today, so you can't complain. Jim, are you there? Are you giggling still?
Nice.
You gaggling?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
No, you're not good.
You're not good at all.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I had a very good week. Very good week this week for gaming.
Good. Well, what were you playing?
Me too, actually.
Let's start off with that.
I've only really been playing one thing, truth be told. So for people who know me personally, being you two and maybe some of the listeners, and for everybody who's new listening or have been listening for, and I have to say this before I start going into this, it wasn't even a coincidence, but Projekt Red 2.0, this is episode 20. We've made it to 20 episodes of this show. That's a pretty good number, man. I'm pretty happy about that. I don't know about you guys, but 20 is a pretty significant milestone if you ask me. But regardless,
I'm pretty unhappy about it.
We can get into that at the end. That's great.
I'm joking. Go.
But anyway, so the only thing I've really been playing this week, and going back to what I was saying, for people who know me and people who are going to get to know me right now, Diablo 2 specifically, but I'll say the Diablo series as a whole, specifically 1 and 2, I grew up playing. So they're some of my favorite games, especially Diablo 2. Last Win the Right Day, it's my favorite game. But I've been playing a lot of Diablo 3 this week. When it first came out, I got the PC version brand new. My laptop could not run it at all, so I wasn't really able to play it. Started playing it on console later, but I decided to get it on PC because I really couldn't tell you why, to be honest. But I wanted to get it on PC, and I'm kind of glad I did because I'm liking it a little more on PC right now because it has the interface that I really like the classic 2 big globes of like health and mana or whatever like essence depending on your class in Diablo 3. But that's all I've been playing this week really. Um, and just when I thought I was going to play Torchlight and then move on to a different kind of game in between, I just went right back into ARPGs. So yeah, I've been loving Diablo 3 this week and pre-ordered Diablo 2 Resurrected and all that. So yeah, I'm a pretty happy camper, I gotta say. What about you, Harley? What have you been playing?
I've just been playing Valheim. That's it. Just so much Valheim.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
that's
been
it.
playing a lot of
Well,
it.
I was gonna say, I guess we did play Valheim last weekend. That's right. I
We
guess
played
I'll
it
catch up.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, that was this week. Yes.
Yeah, don't you remember that wonderful boat ride?
Oh no,
For everyone listening,
never.
we were playing some Valheim last night, and we decided to go on a boat ride. And it turned from like a 15-minute boat ride. We were just supposed to sail over to the boss and do our thing, and then it turned into like more than an hour long session because Harley and I died to a sea serpent, and then we had to go to our bodies and get our shit. And then Jim was just stranded on this big boat by himself in the middle of nowhere for like an hour, waiting for Harley and I to get back there on our little boat. It was fun. I had a good time still.
It was an adventure.
It was definitely an
Despite
adventure.
all of that, I did have a lot of fun actually.
Yeah.
It's one of those games
Yeah.
where like time flies. Like although like we were gonna go on, it was like what like 9:30 when we got on ish.
Yeah.
Mhm.
By the time we got off, it was like 12:30. But like 2.5 hours of that was just being on a boat, and it didn't even feel like it. So I guess that's a good thing. But
Yeah.
we built
Yeah.
another fortress, which is cool. We beat a boss. I got a pickaxe. I got we'll have to do it later on whenever we play it next. I gotta go to the altar and get the power, and then we're good.
Yeah, time flies in that game.
So much to do. And so it's just the right amount of
Oh.
jank in my opinion. Just the right amount of jank.
I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
And now that like before, I think I was mentioning on the podcast that I was having like FPS issues. Now I got that solved. So I was like, now I'm getting like anywhere between like 30 to 60 frames constantly, which is so much nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, big
And
time.
I'm just like I'm enjoying it like that much more now.
I think the performance of the game's getting better with every update too. I think the
That
devs are
too.
like optimizing it as they
Yeah.
go along because it's a small team.
Yeah.
I think they literally have like one programmer. I think I read in a blog post. So like
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure it's 5. I think I said this before when I was saying how much they sold in 1 month. It was like I think it's a team of 5.
yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
They did good. They did good. Aside from Valheim, like yeah, we've been playing a bit of Valheim. I played a little Cyberpunk today, just jumping into the new patch, just to check out all the changes, and we'll talk about that later. But then other than that, been playing some more Octopath Traveler, and started a Skyrim playthrough on the Xbox as well, and I've been streaming that.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I did. So I started a Skyrim playthrough, and we're gonna play through that on stream. It's been a long time since I like went all the way through.
That's
Xbox
so
Series
funny.
X like edition or something?
It's
Do they have that?
No, they
They
don't.
have
They
it
don't
up-
have.
like,
They don't have
updated
that
for that?
yet, but they will. I'm sure eventually because it's
Ah.
Skyrim. They'll put it out on everything. But it's they do have like an FPS boost thing for it. So if you run it on a Series X and you have a capable monitor, you can play it at 120 frames if you want,
Oh, okay.
which is cool. Now, mind you, when I'm streaming it, the Elgato I have only does up to
Mhm.
60, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm sure a next gen version will come out at some point. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else I've been playing. Just kind of doing that. That's it.
Was it this weekend we beat Devour?
Oh
Right?
yeah, we totally
That's
did.
right, we did.
Yeah, we did beat Devour.
Day after the pod, or it was the same night. It was the night after the last episode we recorded. We played it
I
with
think
Mike.
so, yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. That trailer for that new map.
Oh,
It really
I'm
doesn't reveal
excited.
anything, Tony. If you did want to watch it, it's
No,
cool, man.
it's more it's more aesthetic. You don't really see like the layout or anything.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just kind of like the vibes. I think you see the boss, the enemy
Right.
too, or one of the enemies.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out then if it doesn't really
Little
spoil
sneak
much.
peek,
Yeah.
like a teaser.
Because I kind of
It's
want,
not like
I want
the
to
original
go.
Devour trailer where it's like, oh, this is what you do, and you know your group of people you got to burn the goat. It's like it's not like that at all.
Well, yeah, like
there's
I don't
no
want like a
narration.
layout. I don't want like a walkthrough. You know,
No,
like I
no.
just yeah. So that's good. So if I'm gonna be scared, I'd rather be
If
really
anything,
scared.
it's like
You know.
yeah, it's like B-roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. Cool. Well, that's what we've been playing. A reminder, everyone here watching live on YouTube, you guys can chat in the chat, and we will do our best to respond to you live during the show. We want to interact with you guys. This is an interactive podcast. And for anyone watching the VOD later on YouTube, you guys can leave a comment, and we're going to do our best to answer your questions on the next episode, of course. So you always have that option as well if you miss us live every Friday night. Let's jump into our G Fuel flavor of the day, not sponsored yet version. I'm having some peach rings. Harley, what do you have? Or what did you have, I should say?
Actually, yeah, like before the pod, I just finished some hype sauce.
Oh, very good.
Raspberry lemonade.
Can't go wrong with that.
Those.
Raspberry lemonade.
Oh, it's good. It's smooth and it mixes well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jim, what about you?
I am having a Raging Gummy Fish, a
Nice.
flavor that I once said was kind of a lower tier once it started having other flavors, but it's slowly starting to flip back to an upper tier flavor for me.
It's
It's not
reliable.
like the most crazy flavor, but yeah, exactly. It's reliable. It's like it's almost like the new fruit punch for me. It's like you can't screw up a Raging Gummy Fish, really.
Yeah,
You
like
can't have
if you're
too little mix, you can't have too much. It's good.
well, yeah, and like it's one of those flavors where you know if you're not really sure what flavor you want, it's like a good like vanilla
true.
flavor to have, you know, because it's
Yeah,
it's essentially like a different
not
fruit punch.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's tame.
Yeah, exactly.
And I dig it.
Pairs well with everything. Well, I don't know about that, but pairs well with your mood, I should say, no matter what your mood is.
Okay, real talk between the three of us. Has anybody ever combined two flavors together?
No.
I have yet to do it.
I want
I'm thinking about it. I thought about it tonight. I was thinking of doing green apple and something, but I ended up not doing it. You guys have way more flavors than me. You guys have double the tubs I do, so it's up to you guys, I think.
Okay, I was gonna say.
You know what? I might.
Yeah.
I wish I would have
Maybe
kept my mixed. I
tomorrow.
could have mixed it with mixed.
Oh no.
Mix lemonade.
Oh no.
We'll never talk. You know what? From here on forth. That's right. We're never going to talk about mixed because I do not want to give them the free airtime with just saying the name. I'm sure you're a fine company, but I do not like your product. But you have like the same shakers as G Fuel, and it was free with my order. That's why I did it.
Oh no.
In the end, it really wasn't free, and I suffered because of it. So there you go.
You like actively dislike
I'm not going to
them.
mention.
It's great.
I am just, you know what? I'm sure they're fine, but I'm gonna stop. I'm just gonna stop acknowledging.
Like I feel like if like the mixed like headquarters was close to where you lived, you would like go there and like egg them or something, you know?
No, I'd be their number one customer, sponsor, whatever you want to call it. I'd be begging at their doorstep for their money. But you know what? No.
No, we're above that here at Follow My Tracers. We don't shell out for any corporation. All right.
We don't email Lucasfilm begging for a sponsorship. That's just me. Okay. That's not the show. It's just me.
Yeah,
It
that was.
doesn't work.
I want to be sponsored.
Oh no.
Not the show. Me.
Me.
That's on me. I did that from my personal email. So.
Oh Lord.
I'm probably blacklisted now. They're probably
Oh
next
yeah.
Lucasfilm thing that comes out. They're probably gonna,
New
make
email.
sure my information is put on like every kiosk in the world, so that I can never buy a ticket to another show. I can't buy
Oh,
another game
dude,
by them.
I don't think they do that.
Yeah, you
You'd
never
You'd be a
know.
trendsetter.
Ooh, no, I'm not. No, nope. You know what? I tried once. I'll never try again.
Okay.
Love Star Wars though. Good job on that.
All right, so it's official, Harley. Jim is no longer the sponsorship guy. He can't. So I think it's going to be up to you or I to start reaching out to companies because Jim just can't do it anymore. Oh, man.
Sorry.
You're out of the game. All right, it's okay. Let's get into Infinite Watch this week. Nothing too big, but there is some news.
Status report.
Little status report for you. So there was a new blog post about Halo esports this week, and they tend to do this 1 week after every Inside Infinite blog post. So they'll put that out the last Thursday of every month. Week after, they'll put out a little like esports blog about it too. So for the most part, these blogs are way shorter, usually just a couple paragraphs. They're not really talking much about the game because it would literally just be talking about gameplay, which is obviously they're not showing too much of yet. So, but there was an interesting piece I wanted to pull out. So they were talking about growing viewership this time. And of course, you think that, you think Twitch, you think content creators, all of that. And they mentioned 6 specific goals: diversify, partnerships, Halo Infinite's design, rewards, content, and content distribution. Now, all those statements are pretty vague, obviously, and they don't really mean much. But interestingly enough, in diversify, they say this, and this is a quote: "For years and years, Halo's live viewership came almost exclusively from tournaments, pro players, and hardcore modes. And while we want to continue to grow viewership for tournaments and pro players, we ultimately believe that a healthy ecosystem must have a diversity of content and audiences. Halo as a game has so many fun and interesting experiences to offer. And as the culture of content creation permeates the Halo community, we want to enable and support content creators regardless of the modes they play. And just so I'm clear, in our minds, this does not come at the expense of the core competitive multiplayer that Halo Esports is built on. This is an effort to grow the pie." So, I mean, kind of, what the hell? Sorry, audio issue. I think we're good. Hopefully everyone heard that live. But basically they were talking about growing the pie and growing the, basically just the ways that they're trying to grow Halo Esports, and it's not just going to be Slayer anymore. It's not going to be just pro teams. You think that, and they talk about growing the pie. I mean, that just screams a new mode, right? That screams Battle Royale, in my mind, as a direct comparison. What do you guys think? Harley?
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same
on
thing.
Discord,
Harley.
on Discord, you cut out a lot there.
Did I really?
I checked the
I got
stream,
like,
and
yeah.
you were still good on the stream,
Okay.
but it was, yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't really understand much of what you said at all, to be honest, man.
I
caught,
worried
like,
about that. Yeah.
It's like your sentence would break up into thirds. So,
Yeah.
I wonder why that happened. What the hell? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna.
but from what I
Only
understood
on
of what you were
Discord, though.
saying, I think I kind of get where you're coming from, and I would think there might be a new mode out of all that.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully I'm clear right now. So for
I'd
what
be
they said,
excited.
guys, they basically talked about growing the esports viewership beyond pro tournaments.
Yeah, you're
And
crystal clear now, so that's good.
so, like, for me, I mean, and they said, and I'll quote this last line. This is the important part. "And just so I'm clear, in our minds, this does not come at the expense of the core competitive multiplayer that Halo Esports is built on. This is an effort to grow the pie." So they're not talking about Slayer here. They're not talking about the Halo Championship Series. They're talking about something else. And that, to me, like, what else is competitive in Halo that isn't Halo Championship Series? Nothing right now, right? There's no competitive Forge, right? That's not really a thing. There's no competitive campaign.
Cool.
There is speed running.
Speed building.
There is speed running. That's a thing. Maybe they're talking about that. But I bet they're talking about a brand new mode they're working on. And whether that's a Battle Royale or not, we'll have to wait and see. But that line kind of caught my attention, where it was just like, interesting. So they're talking about growing the game beyond just the Battle Royale. So, or beyond just the Halo Championship Series.
I wonder if that means like maybe like public tournaments.
It could be. Yeah, it definitely could be.
Because if they said they weren't really interested in a battle royale, I'm just kind of trying to think of what else could they be doing.
Yeah, and I think
maybe
it's...
like a firefight tournament.
Yeah.
If firefights in there.
What about like a firefight versus? You know what I mean? Like you have. No, I'm just speaking on my butt here because I'm just thinking of it now. But let's say the battle royale is off the table. So something they've already been doing in the past that was successful was firefight. It'd be kind of cool if they tried to take firefight and kind of spin it into something else. Almost have like a PvPvE type of thing.
Well, that's essentially what Warzone was.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Well,
but on like a smaller scale though. Like have your 4v4 with, or have like your 4-person team in firefight on smaller contained maps, because Warzone maps were, bigger. They're much bigger, right? So kind of have like smaller maps contained, but have like a bunch of enemies too. I don't know. I'm talking on my butt because
No, that thing, that
It's
kind of thing
hard.
exists.
Like it's hard to think of
So
something that Halo hasn't done that other than a battle royale that they could do without kind of touching something that's pre-existing in their games. That's the only thing I could think of, really. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard because I established Halo so much with the multiplayer, and I felt this way about COD too. Like when Warzone was coming out, I'll admit I was a little unsure. Like I was hyped as fuck. Don't get me wrong, but like I was a little unsure about how a battle royale would play in like an already established game because like PUBG was brand new, Fortnite was brand new, it wasn't like based on something else. But having COD be so successful, um, I think my worries about a Halo battle royale. It sounds like I'm going on a different tangent here, but like my worries about a Halo battle royale are kind of going away because COD kind of proved that they can do something new. So maybe in my head, I think they maybe are talking about a battle royale now. I mean, there's enough like fan outcry for it. So if you're not going to do something based on something you already have, that's the only brand new thing I think they could do to kind of expand their pie, as they were saying. So
what you were kind of getting at with the firefight, back in Warcraft 3 custom games, there was a mode where there was like teams. We'll say for Halo, let's say two teams, and they're both on like their own map, and you can spend, like in Warcraft 3, you would spend resources to send enemies to the other team.
okay,
So say like you have normal enemies that spawn regularly, and then after killing them, you gain points, and say then like you send like a hunter or like a wraith at them or something like that. I
That'd be
thought that
interesting.
was kind of what you were getting to.
oh maybe I could see that too. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know. It's so hard to think of what Halo hasn't done that they could do realistically.
Well, I mean, you think about it, and answer number one's a battle royale, and I think that's the most likely scenario. The answer number two is a brand new mode that we're not thinking of,
Yeah.
right? Something completely new. Which, when you think about it, the Warzone, which they put out, completely new back in 2015. So like
True.
I don't know, like they could be they did go on record a couple years ago saying that, the only BR they're interested in is the battle rifle, not a battle royale. But battle royale has blown up so much since then, and there's public outcry for it, and that was a couple years ago. Like, I don't know if that statement really holds true anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens. But I mean, this is the esports team. They don't actually work on game development. This is their tournament staff, their championship staff, their staff, like they actually have like a pro team, which is pretty cool, which basically play the game every single day and give feedback to the dev team in terms of like what pro players and what would help balance the competitive scene and all of that, like what pro players want, which is kind of cool.
Oh, cool.
So like they're actually like 343 employees, but a lot of them are former pro players that like were on the scene back in the day, and they do their thing. So they're not actually making the game, but they are, suggesting things and influencing development, and also, they're the framework for everything competitive and everything content creation. You think about like Twitch Rivals tournaments with Warzone and all that stuff, even though that's a
Yeah,
bit of a shit
that's what I'm
show,
kind of
Yeah.
thinking.
but
I'm kind of thinking that's what it's more going towards. More like just like public, I don't know, like public Slayer matches or something like that.
yeah, or
Where you
public,
just like
whatever the hell they're making, right?
whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, who knows?
could be the case though. Interesting nonetheless that they specifically mentioned growing the pie, not necessarily cutting it differently. So probably means something new. That's it for Halo. This week, that's all I could find. That was the big news. Let's get into the other news and current events. So before we get into Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red and all the crazy stuff that happened this week, that is obviously our theme for this episode. Let's talk about some other stuff. Harley, let's start with you. Outriders came out, and the servers are down.
Yeah,
What's going on?
yesterday it came out. Yeah, so people know that it had kind of a rough start with servers. So I believe it was today. Today at 3:49 p.m. they sent out a tweet that they're gonna try and do quote, the mother of all turn it off and on agains.
That's awesome.
So they're gonna turn it off and they're gonna turn it back on. See,
Nice.
hopefully that helps.
Love
And
it.
then upon like seeing that, like I found out that Outriders became like Square Enix's biggest Steam launch in history, which just bodes well for Square Enix and the game. So yeah, it's just a little something. It's a game I'm actually kind of thinking about trying since I have Game Pass. You know, might as well give it a try.
The beauty of Game Pass, which we're going to get into a second here as well, but yeah, we can just try it out, and it's no problem. I think there's also a free demo out there on every platform, so everyone can give it a shot, and your character carries over from the demo to the
Nice.
main game if you want, which I'm a fan of too. Let's do that for more games.
That's always good, yeah.
I'm a fan of that.
A little trial?
A little trial, and you carry over your character if you want to buy it, right? So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with that. But yeah, Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, then you have it on Xbox, and you also have it on the cloud, but not on PC.
Not on PC. Not yet.
Important distinction. Might happen in the future though. We'll see. And speaking of Game Pass, this is some pretty crazy news that broke this morning, guys. I don't know if you saw this, but so MLB The Show 21. Typically, that's a PlayStation exclusive baseball game. That's actually coming to Xbox this year. That broke a long time ago. That basically MLB mandated that their game should be on every platform, and PlayStation was like, okay. So basically, MLB The Show is coming to Xbox. I think it's also on PC, but then it's going to be coming to. It's obviously on PlayStation as well. It's a first-party Sony studio, Sony San Diego, right? This game has been exclusive for so long. It's a hidden gem, consistent, very, very high scores. One of the best sports games every single year. And the crazy thing is, and this kind of connects to the last story, is that this broke this morning. It's coming to Game Pass day one when it comes out later this month. So let's lay this out. So a first-party PlayStation game is coming to Xbox, and it also Game Pass members get it for free. Whereas PlayStation gamers, they don't have that equivalent. They got to pay full price for the game.
That's kind of weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Weird, man.
That's so crazy.
How does this happen?
Right? That's exactly what I said. How does this happen? Like, so basically, the best place to play MLB The Show is Xbox, even though it's a PlayStation first-party game because it's on Game Pass.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Simple as that.
What was the baseball series we had on Xbox? Was it RBI baseball?
Yeah, RBI was the other one, and from what I understand, RBI was just fine. It wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't bad. Like it was good. But MLB The Show is, anyone who's played the game and played the series any time in the last 10 years or however long it's been coming out can tell you that it's consistently excellent, like very, very good. So. Like way better than like the Madden releases that come out where it's like they barely change anything. It's like, no, these are very, very good games coming out. So kind of crazy. I think that Xbox, it's hard to say like what actually happened behind the scenes here. Like, did Xbox go to PlayStation and they were like, hey, do you want to put this on Game Pass? Like, I don't know if that was a thing or if it was like Xbox went to MLB, right? And they were like, hey, you want to put this out on Game Pass and reach 20 million people on day one? And they were probably like, yes, do it. Right? Kind of crazy.
Finally got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
It's crazy. It's huge news, man. Like, it's crazy that, like, what's Sony's response going to be? Sorry, if you're on PlayStation, you got to pay $70 for this game. Or actually more than that, probably $80 in Canada plus tax. Plus, actually, if you're paying for the next-gen version, $90 because they charge an extra $10 for that. There you go. So, like, crazy, man. Again, this isn't... I'm not trying to, like... I don't know. I take a little bit of joy in console wars, but, like, not, like, really that much. Like, I kind of just do it, like, in a playful way. Like, I'm cool with wherever you play on, but it's just crazy to me that Game Pass just keeps getting better and better. We talk about Outriders day one, even though the servers went down. Like, people are really liking Outriders. And now MLB The Show, which is, like, the most unlikely game to ever come to Game Pass, because it's literally made by PlayStation, is coming to Game Pass. It's nuts, man. Absolutely nuts.
I take great pride in these kind of console wars. I mean, I don't take pride in the sense where it's like, you know what, like let's burn PlayStation down. It's just like it kind of reassures why I always stuck with Xbox. Like, yeah, sure, like I had PlayStations along the way, but I never got like rid of my Xbox per se. Like I always just kind of stuck with it. I always subscribed to Xbox Live. I never subscribed to whatever PS4's live service was. Like I've always kind of like stuck with Xbox for the most part, like all the way. And when Game Pass it wasn't new, but when it was like new to me, I got excited about it, so I just stuck with it. And like now it just seems like I'm not a sports guy by any means, but my brother, who just recently got an Xbox, and I believe he has Live Ultimate, so he has Game Pass. He's like the biggest. He was the biggest sports fan. Well, he still is a big sports fan, but he was like the biggest sports game fan growing up. And now, with Xbox having EA access too in their Game Pass thing, he can play NHL, and now he can play MLB. And those are the two things other than Madden as well, which he can play now too in Game Pass. Those are the three things he'd always play. So he'll have the chance
Yeah.
to do that, and that's just cool. And yes, Superfish, you're right. It is good to have competition.
Well, exactly. No matter which way you slice it, this is a good thing because PlayStation gamers, you have it the same way you've always had. No one's taking anything away from you. Xbox gamers, great news. You have this game you never had, and even greater news, if you have Game Pass, you got it. You're good. So like now the ball's in Sony's court, man. To sports analogy this thing. Like they got the ball.
Now they're gonna steal Halo.
Oh my god!
Could you imagine?
Imagine that.
Yeah, but I mean, think of that. That's like the equivalent of what's happening here, right? Like that would be like 343 going like, okay, we're gonna put Halo on PlayStation and
For free.
Like it's kind of nuts. Now, mind you, it's not free because you're paying for Game Pass. Blah blah blah. I get it, but still, like now I get to try this game later this month for free. I was kind of planning on buying it anyways because I really was looking forward to the show, and now I don't have to buy it, which is awesome. So it's good. Now it's up to Sony to either match what Xbox is doing and give their audience a better deal. Maybe start putting their first party games into PS Now, which is their equivalent, but they haven't been doing that. So maybe I don't know. Maybe Sony will start. Maybe they'll wake up. Because I think Game Pass and the subscription service is kind of the way to go moving forward for a lot of people. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. But moving on from that, before we get into Cyberpunk, I think we have one more piece of news, Jim. I want to let you break this piece. I know it's near and dear to your heart. I think you know what I'm talking about.
And it's funny when you say it like that because like it really is like it's something that my fiance now and I, how we played through a lot of Lego games together, and Lego Star Wars was definitely one that I really liked playing with her. We have the complete saga on the Xbox, but anyway, regardless, 2 years ago they had announced and shown off Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and it's been delayed a number of times. Mostly the first delay was due to COVID, but anyway, so it was supposed to come out. It was initially leaked way back in the summertime, October 2020, and then that quickly got erased. Then that turned into spring 2021, and now it's turned into sometime. So TT Games, who's developing Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and they've developed pretty well every Lego game since the first Lego Star Wars, which is the one that kicked it off. On Twitter today, they said, quote, "All of us at TT Games are working hard to make Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga the biggest and best ever Lego game, but we're going to need more time to do it. We won't be able to make our intended spring release date, but we'll provide updated launch timing as soon as possible." So it's good news and bad news, because it's good. And it's weird to say it like this. It's good because now they're going to try and put more quality into the game. It's kind of a similar situation to what I view with Halo Infinite. Now, if you guys can remember the demo that came out last July for Halo Infinite, the big gameplay reveal, if that was the closer product to the release, like if that's what ended up kind of coming out back in the fall when it was supposed to come out originally, this being Halo Infinite, I think our opinion of the game might be a little different. And I don't know, all the stuff I've seen of this Lego Star Wars game, it looks really great. But if they're taking the time to make it even better, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, in truth be told, we have enough stuff to play. I have enough stuff to play for probably the next 20 years, realistically. But I have enough to play in the meantime to keep me distracted. So, I mean, I'm bummed out, but I'm glad too at the same time. I don't know how big of a fan you guys are of Lego Star Wars or just Lego games in general. But if you remember, and if you ever played it, Lego The Force Awakens was a huge step in the right direction for these kinds of games in terms of gameplay and graphics and using voice acting and this and that. Like it was a big step forward. And I can envision having all 9 Skywalker Saga Star Wars films, all the 9 main episodic ones for those who not really sure what I'm talking about. If you have all those in one game, I would kind of expect the quality to be really high because it's not just a one-for-one remake. They completely remade every single level. So if you play the original Lego Star Wars or the second one with the original trilogy, the levels are going to be totally different. They're not a copy and paste job. They totally started from the ground up, which is really cool and exciting for me. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta save my breath for the Cyberpunk stuff, but any thoughts on this stuff, guys?
I did play the Lego Batman series, and I love the voice acting. Like it had like cutscenes, right, with like fully voiced.
Yeah.
I love that. They add like the goofiness of the Lego kind of theme. I thought it really like bumped it up.
Yeah, because in the originally with
I
the
think I
Lego
played the
games,
original. Yeah, I played the original Star Wars Lego games too.
and back then, if you
And I think
remember, there is no voice acting in that. It's just all like,
no, yeah, it's like
it's just like it's almost
like
like
Sims
Simlish.
kind of.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we're on the same wavelength tonight, Harley. Jesus.
And was there not? I can't remember for sure. Wasn't there a Lego Lord of the Rings?
Yes, there was, and that was another one where again my fiance and I played through it,
I think I played
and
that
that was a
too.
huge step. That was like pretty well open world, and then you would just go from mission to mission as you got to different places. And the biggest thing in that game for me that was a big step forward was if you remember in the old Lego games, I know Tony used to have Lego Indiana Jones, and I'm pretty sure we've all three of us have played Lego Star Wars, whether the first or the second one or the complete saga.
Hmm.
You couldn't get off the same screen as the person you were playing with, or even like your
No.
AI. But in Lego Lord of the Rings, I'm pretty sure it was the first one where is if you went off the screen space, your
Oh
screen would
yeah.
split and you could essentially go anywhere. So that was a big step forward. So it seems like it's weird to talk about Lego games like this because they are kind of meant for a younger audience than what I play it. Um, me being 26 years old, but it's cool that each game has kind of gotten better and better and they've really progressed forward. There's not really been a whole lot of recession with the Lego games. There's a couple odd instances, but for the most part, they keep getting better and better. So if they want to make this one the biggest and the best one, take your time. Do not rush this. Really don't. Like it'll make a lot of people happy if you don't. So and it's totally understandable with everything going on that there's delays. It's weird to say it, but I'm kind of glad they delayed it. So yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Game delays are a good thing. Obviously, it sucks waiting for games, but if the game needs more time in the oven, it needs more time in the oven, which is a perfect segue into CD Projekt
Absolutely.
Red. So let's get that started. Jim, I know that you got all the headlines, all the news here, so take it away. Obviously, if you need a break from talking, let us know. We can chime in with our thoughts. Just feel free to break it up. There was a big patch, there was a studio acquisition, all sorts of stuff. So I'll send it over to you, my friend.
So, word of warning for you two, I am going to be talking a lot, but I do have some spots where I think we should talk about some stuff. So let's start off right away with one that I kind of got last minute here. So Cyberpunk and more so CD Projekt Red had acquired a Vancouver game studio by the name of Digital Escapes. So this is kind of significant because CD Projekt Red famously they're based out of Poland, but now and I don't know if this is their first foreign studio they've acquired, but they've acquired a Canadian studio, and this studio had contributed to the creation of Cyberpunk 2077. So the three existing development teams, as I'm going through this article right now, the three existing development teams for CD Projekt Red are in Warsaw. I can't pronounce the other two, but they're all in Poland. So that's pretty cool. I kind of
Hey,
like that we have Canadian representation. I'm not being racist or anything. I don't know how to pronounce Polish words and cities
no,
very
that's fair.
well.
You don't want to butcher it. That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, Warsaw makes sense because we've all heard of Warsaw. Is that the capital of Poland?
I hope there's no Polish listeners. Yeah, I
No, no,
believe so.
no.
But
I might be wrong on that. Oh, geez. But it's a big city. Like we've all heard of it, right? It's like Munich in Germany. Same idea, where it's just like a big city that we're all aware of. But yeah, if we don't know how to
It
pronounce
is
the other one,
Warsaw.
it is Warsaw.
It
Okay.
is the capital.
See, I thought it was, but I thought it might have been a different city as well.
I'm Polish.
Are you Polish?
so You're not
Yeah.
Polish.
What?
No, you're not.
No.
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 I'm
You're
a little
French, aren't you?
Polish, yeah. I am on my dad's side.
No
Oh my
way.
god.
Man, that was wow.
Does he work for CD Projekt Red too?
No. My
So,
dad's friend. Or my dad's side is French.
interesting.
Man.
So regardless,
No, it's cool though. Canadian studio. I'm a fan.
yeah,
And
I
they've
mean,
worked on some cool games too. Like Company of Heroes, Dead Rising, Mass Effect?
Oh, so like
That's
they've always
pretty
been like
cool,
a
man.
support studio then.
I think so.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Character reveal, yeah. We just got a character reveal from Harley. A little bit of lore.
Also, thank you, Renee. Misha is the capital. Thank you.
Thank you.
She to go off topic here before I got into the big, I took 4-page notes on the next few stories here, but my fiance, who is a listener, that we used to always do flag quizzes and capital city quizzes and country quizzes, and she pretty well gets them perfect now.
Oh, I love
So
doing those. Those are so much fun.
if there's anybody that don't know capitals and stuff, I'm gonna rely on her. So anyway, so because this is gonna take a while to get through this stuff. So let's just burn through, not burn, but the last story is the big one that I want to go through. But the first two are not are. It's not like they're not significant. So the first story here is that CD Projekt Red is still hopeful about Cyberpunk 2077 being back in the PlayStation Store. So, as everybody knows, Cyberpunk's launch was more or less a disaster on a lot of fronts, especially though it suffered the worst on the base consoles, being the Xbox One, I guess you could say Xbox One S, and the PlayStation 4. It was taken off the PlayStation Store pretty soon after it launched. And as of recording this, April 2nd, 2021, for time preservation's sake, it is still not on the PlayStation Store. So the senior vice president of business development for CD Projekt Red had said, quote, "We have published several patches. We have just published a really big one yesterday, and we have published several hotfixes. Each and every one of them brings us closer to going back to the PlayStation Store. However, the final decision, you have to understand, belongs to Sony. We do believe we're closer than further, but of course, the final call is theirs, so we'll have to wait and see." I don't know about you guys, but patches aside, that was still one of the craziest things is that they took it off their
Yeah.
digital store. And that's, digital sales, I feel, are like the bulk of game sales nowadays.
Yeah,
Any
more than
thoughts on this,
half in
guys?
most cases.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money
That's
PlayStation
crazy.
is losing out on. And, CD Projekt Red, I guess, more importantly, on just digital sales for PlayStation. Because as, according to many people on the internet, um, and I guess if you want to go by, quote unquote concrete sales, PlayStations do outsell Xboxes, at least right now. But having no digital PlayStation sales, that could hurt, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say it might,
Well,
and this is just my opinion because I think outside the box, I feel I'm a little different. I'm wired differently than most people, I guess. But
You're
um,
built
ho-
different.
hopefully
I'm just
thank
built
you.
differently.
Hopefully this doesn't discourage them from improving the
Mark.
PlayStation version of the game. Like, hopefully there's no vendetta or bad blood between them,
Oh.
and they just want to fix the PlayStation version as bad as the other two. Obviously, PC's probably the most popular version, but I hope that doesn't discourage CD Projekt from kind of laxing on the PlayStation version because it's like, oh, our game's not on their store. We should kind of care about the other two first and then help PlayStation. Do you know what I mean? But I think the patches are just for like the versions of that game in general. Do you know what I mean? I think you guys are a little more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think, yeah, they obviously care about the game being on the PlayStation Digital Store. That's a lot of sales being missed out on them. But I mean, let's just talk about how successful this game is. Anyways, it sold like 13 million copies, and that includes all the refunds that they did. 13 million copies on day one. So, like, I don't know, they're not. I don't think CD Projekt Red is necessarily hurting for cash right now. I don't think that's the issue. But yeah, for sure, they obviously want their game to sell as many copies as possible. It's a business. They're there to make money. They want the game to be on PlayStation's digital store. And for whatever reason, Sony took it completely off, and they still haven't put it back on, even though the game with this patch hopefully runs well on it now. I mean, I can't speak to it, but I'm hoping that, it's a big performance boost. I know that a lot of the patch notes are going to get into, really, really like the most impactful on Xbox One and PS4. So,
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Harley? That's actually a pretty good segue into the next story. But do you have any final thoughts on
No,
the play? And just for a note for people listening, you can still buy it physically. It's just a digital version that's not available. But regardless,
for PlayStation.
for PlayStation, yes,
Yeah.
they haven't stopped the physical sales for PlayStation, just digital. But regardless, good segue, Tony, into patch 1.2. So patch 1.2 was released this week, and it is a namesake, the second major patch in the game. This one's a little bit bigger. Was a lot a bit bigger, really, than the first patch because this one has over 500 fixes implemented. The size of each patch for each system, it's about 33 gigs on PC, 44 gigs on PlayStation, and 40 gigs on Xbox. Now, I've unfortunately put myself through torture and I decided to go through and read every single fix today because I had free time. And they fixed it. It almost sounds like they built a game with all the fixes, to be honest. But I wanted to gonna point out some significant ones. Um, I got about 10 here, 10 or 11 that I think are pretty significant. So the one that they advertise with it, usually first, is the steering code and the steering sensitivity slider. So now you can adjust how sensitive your car is
Oh,
for steering. The steering code is improved for high and low frame rate situations. So if your game chugs, it shouldn't affect how well you drive the car. It should be able to kind of do what GoldenEye on the N64 did, kind of catch up and kind of keep with what's going on despite the frame rate. Um, and I thought this one was kind of funny. They fixed an issue where dumping a body in the trunk of a car had started the vehicle's engine, so that doesn't happen anymore. Um, it limits the Delamain phone calls during its quest line, so you won't get the beep
Oh my
beep mother
god.
effer about every 6 seconds.
Thank God. Oh.
The Night City Police Department spawn radius for when the player commits a crime has been increased. Fixed NPC behavior in combat. Fixed the spelling error in the Leaving Night City sign, which was spelled NIHGT City for, I guess, 4 months since the game's been out. It fixes V's position. V is your character. Fixed V's position riding a motorcycle, so you shouldn't T pose anymore. It also fixed issues with NPCs T posing in the streets. But the most important one, and this is for um, PS4 and base Xbox Ones, it's improved stability and performances of the engine and the rendering engine. So this should reduce the number of random crashes. And I know, Harley, when you had the Xbox One version, your game crashed quite a few times.
yep.
So that shouldn't be an issue anymore, according to their fix. But that's kind of all the ones that stuck out to me. There's like a million of these. You'd have to look it up, or I can throw a link in the description of this episode. But there are like a million fixes in this patch. Tony, let's start with you because you've been playing. If you and for anyone watching the live broadcast of this, the gameplay from the Xbox Series X version, or I guess technically the Xbox One X version on a Series X, is being played. Do you notice a difference? Really, like, do you notice any big differences, or is it all just little stuff that you notice, or do you notice anything at all?
Um so I only ran across like one or two moments where things were kind of glitchy when I played for about 2 hours today. Um One, I kind of rammed my car into like a medium and I could not get it out. It was like kind of underneath it a little bit, so I just had to like jump out and spawn another vehicle. I forgot what the second one was. I think I kind of got stuck in an area as well, but I was able to get my way out of there. But that was mostly just me because I was doing stupid things to try to break the game. But for the most part, the game, it ran really, really well. I thought the frame rate was a little crispier. I thought the visuals were even a little bit nicer. Anecdotally, I don't know if that really is the case, but I mean, I kind of thought, just looking at it, I'm like, hey, this kind of looks nice. I don't know if that's just because I haven't played the game in a while. But yeah, I mean, I thought it performed pretty well. I certainly got a few Delamain calls still, just driving around. That kind of sucked.
Mm.
I actually don't mind his quest line. It just like I don't know. I hate getting calls from that guy, but
That was one thing I remember is getting like a million of those, like "You'll never catch me," or again like "Beep beep beep mother ever," which I laugh every time it
That
comes up.
one.
yeah.
But the one thing they did say, I didn't have it in my notes, but I do remember reading that there are some improved. I don't know if it's textures or texture rendering things. I don't know if it's specific to the PC version and more next gen ones, but that was a fix that they implemented. And I noticed I played for about, and I was texting you about this when I was trying to record. I was going to initially record the gameplay for this episode for a PC version, but when I tried to record certain games on PC, my performance tanks super hard, and it almost becomes like the version I initially played on the original Xbox One. So for the little bit I played before I started recording, the one thing I noticed, and it was the biggest thing that annoyed me when I started playing it initially, is you could see trees through buildings and stuff in the distance, no shadows rendered, like bright as day, but that is gone. At least in my version, that is gone, and I'm so happy about that. But regardless, Harley, does this? I know the answer,
No,
but does this bring you any closer to wanting to try the game again? Do
no.
you ever intend to try the game again? Are you
Mm,
spoiled at all for stuff? Like, are you story or spoiled for story or no?
no. I kind of once I refunded it, I just kind of lost interest. I didn't really care anymore.
If I had to
I
make a
don't really
guess,
know.
I think
I
you're
don't really
gonna.
know
I,
what
I,
goes
I
on
think you're
either.
gonna go back one day.
I think there's a good chance this game.
Only if it's
Sorry, go
on a
ahead.
hard discount, like a hard discount,
I
Like
think
what, like
there's.
half off?
like $20.
Oh, so
20
like
20 bucks,
80% off.
$30. Yeah,
That's
hard
awesome.
discount. I don't know, man. Yeah,
I think
I
there's.
think
Tony,
it
what
just
were you saying?
it just soiled it.
I think there's a really good chance that this game's gonna show up on Game Pass because The Witcher 3 did.
Hey, there you go. I'll
That'd be
try
super
it then.
cool, man.
I
I
when
don't
when
wanna
when
try the
exactly it
controversial
will,
game.
I don't know. But I mean, The Witcher 3 showed up on Game Pass, so there's already a precedent set there. I think eventually it'll be on Game Pass, so maybe you can try it then, Harley. That way you don't have to pay a dime for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, before we move on to what I think is the most important story this week, with lots of talking points, Renee does play GeoGuessr 2, as she reminded everybody in the chat. I don't like GeoGuessr. I think it's it boggles my head how it got so popular, but I know why it is.
It's a good
But
time,
anyway,
man. I love it.
I don't know. Anyway, God, you two are like the same person. Anyway, story number 3, and this is the thumbnail. This is the big one. CD Projekt Red has plans for repairing and rebuilding its company into a new 2.0 design. So this was kind of shown. They uploaded a big 24-minute YouTube video on their channel. If I remember, I'll throw a link to that too in our description, along with the patch notes for 1.2. But there's a lot to talk about with this video. I went through it. I went through articles summarizing it because it's a lot to digest if you watch the whole video. But regardless, they made a lot of points and they made a lot of promises. They made a lot of, hopes and dreams for what they hope to go with their company forward. Regardless, that didn't make much sense. Regardless, let's get right into the big talking points. So the first big one that they made, at least in most of the articles, because I tried watching this, I got like 10 minutes in, and I was like, I don't think I can watch this and take notes at the same time. So I had to get through summary articles, and I went to more than one to make sure I wasn't getting the wrong info. Anyway, let's go research. Points made in the video include, and I want to stop at the first one right after I say it, because this might be a reflection of not even The Witcher 3, because The Witcher 3 had a good launch from what I remember, or a better launch anyway than Cyberpunk. But this seems to be, a lot of these seem to be in respect to what happened with Cyberpunk. So the first point they made, or one of the big points they made, was quality is a top priority. So as we know, again, Cyberpunk launched to disastrous results, especially on the base console versions, and they want to put quality forward from this point forward. Any initial points on that? There's a lot to get through, but any initial points on them wanting to put quality first with their products? Let's start with Tony.
That's a bunch of corporate speak to me. That doesn't mean anything. How is quality not the first thing in their priority list beforehand?
What I was gonna say was before Cyberpunk even came out, like they were kind of like almost like known to be like they put out good quality stuff.
Yeah.
They're like they put out Witchers and that was all good quality. So I think that was like their reputation before. And now it's kind of like
They tarnished it.
Oh,
yeah.
big time. Especially with all the counter lawsuits, which I haven't heard much of lately. But anyway, back to the main topic at hand here. This one kind of puzzled me too, because I get where they're coming from, but I think the focus might be in the wrong spot. So another big point in their video they made was they want to develop a revolutionary new IP in the world of story-driven RPGs. So you have The Witcher, you have Cyberpunk. Despite its issues, it's another supposed step forward with ARPGs or whatever you want to call it. So why do they want to create a new IP? It almost in my head, and I know again, I know I'm wired different, but in my head, it almost seems like the Cyberpunk thing was a one-off thing. So I think that's kind of the wrong focus because I think there's a lot of potential for Cyberpunk to kind of become a franchise, kind of like The Witcher. I think it's kind of weird to say that they already want to create another revolutionary new IP when Cyberpunk was supposed to be their next big revolutionary IP in the gaming world.
So I thought I saw something this week where they confirmed that they were gonna work on games in the Cyberpunk and Witcher universe at the same time. Are you gonna get to that later?
There's a little bit on that later, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because from what I understand, Cyberpunk is definitely not a one-off. They've invested too much into the lore and universe there that there will be new Cyberpunk stuff eventually.
Harley, any thoughts or you want me to move on?
You can move on.
Again, there's a lot to talk about. So another main point they made is they want to be known as one of the world's top 3 game developers. So right off the bat,
That's an interesting
Harley,
question. Huh.
off the tip of your hat, who are your top 3 gaming developers?
We did
Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
There's no
I
prep.
don't really know.
The point being, they want to be in the top 3. I think of people like Bungie. I think of people like Bethesda. And I think of id Software. And I think of Blizzard. And I think of this and that.
I think of Bio. I do think of Bethesda.
BioWare as well, yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Last good game that BioWare put out?
Anthem.
Nope.
Oh, God.
Before that.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, you're right.
Nope, before that.
Dragon Age.
Right.
Well, I guess Dragon Age Inquisition.
Dragon Inquisition, yeah, it was Dragon Age Inquisition. That won a bunch of Game of the Year awards, so that was actually...
See, that's the thing. I think of past games.
Yeah, that's the issue,
I don't
right?
think of the current.
So they
I'm
want to
not a
be
good
in that conversation. They want to be in the top 3 for a lot of people.
And I think with The Witcher they were in the top 3. I think they fell out of the top 3 with Cyberpunk for a lot of people.
It was the big misstep. It was almost like the misstep of the decade, really, right to top off the decade. Or to start the decade, I should say.
It depends how you look at it. Does the decade start in 2010 or 2011? Well, yeah, 2010. I'm dumb. Never mind, move on. But actually, yeah, top 3 game developers. That's an interesting question off the bat. Like, what developer consistently puts out awesome games that you're looking forward to playing?
I will say, if I'm going to go by my top 3 favorite games off the top of my head, just by developers,
yeah,
I'll say Blizzard or Blizzard North. I don't know which one's the publisher and which one's the developer. IDOS Software, IDOS, whatever you want to call it,
for
and Bungie.
SpaceX, yeah.
So that'd be, if I were to base my stuff off that. Currently, CD Projekt Red, and again, everybody has an audience. Everybody's got their own fans. But it might be possible one day for them to get back to that if they ever make a Witcher 4. I don't know if Witcher 3 is intended to be the end of that story, but maybe they can get back to the people's top 3. And they've made good games in the past. Let's just see where it goes in the future. Anyway, more corporate talk is next. Another point they made was they want to make a sustainable and caring workplace environment. They don't want to, and then this is me talking, but they don't want to, have rush deadlines. They don't want to have a lot of crunch time. They want to have a nice, safe working environment. No more cyber attacks. No more black market selling, stuff like that. The wholesome
crazy
stuff.
crunch.
But there's not much to talk about there, man.
That's hard to beat in a video game industry. I feel like every game has crunch time.
It seems like every major game's got some kind of crunch controversy. Do you guys remember when was it Metal Gear Solid 5? There was some Kojima game. There was it might have even been 4. Metal Gear Solid 4 or 5, they had to sign contracts and this and that, the other thing. Or that was at the playtesting. I think I'm getting my stories mixed up, but yeah, I think you're right, Harley. I think crunch is just kind of like a natural thing with game development. There's always some kind of rush. If you want to know a crazy rushing story, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube on 343 or Bungie's channel. Watch the making of Halo 2. That is a crazy documentary.
Legendary how they made that game.
For that to
And it
come out the
came
way
out.
it did is nuts.
Yeah, and it came out, and it's one of the greatest games ever made in a lot of people's opinions. And that was literally development hell. Crazy. That's still like, oh, I watch that like on a yearly basis still, just to like understand the craziness of it. It's insane. It's insane. They pretty much scrapped the game and made a whole game in a year. It's nuts.
They might have been the originators of the fake E3 demo. But anyway, we're not talking about the fake stuff with Cyberpunk or Halo 2. We're talking about CD Projekt Red. And one thing they want to do, another thing, is they want to, and this is from their thing, they want to centralize the company's engine to support 2 other franchises at once. So an example they had given was the NPC behavior and routines from one game can be carried over from game to game. Same coding, same whatever you want to call it.
Right. That makes sense. Shortens development time.
Yeah, I mean, it would help.
That's
really.
an efficient thing.
Harley, what do you think?
Yeah, I
You
agree.
had taken some gaming courses or game development courses. Is that something that can be easily done?
Um, easily, I don't know.
Or is it mostly wishful thinking?
I don't know if anything in game development is easy.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give
No.
them that. Well, they can. Okay, never mind. I was going to say something about CDPR. No, never mind. We're going to be positive here. So anyway, this might have been what you were talking about before, Tony. But if not, elaborate a little more. So they want to have cross-functional teams that work on multiple games at the same time. And this is a quote from I can't remember who, but a quote from the studio. It says these teams will blend disciplines and expertise so we have closer communication and skill sharing going on from the beginning. It's a much more agile approach to game development.
Yep, that's what I was talking about. And they put out a little like graph too, where they like showed, or not graph, I guess a chart. I don't know, some kind of picture where it showed like how they approached game development before and what they want to do moving
And that's
forward.
my last talking point, so we'll have to talk about that at the end.
Yeah, so I mean that was basically it. They showed a little picture of, them working on The Witcher, like a little chart, and then they showed beside it, but in a different spot, them working on Cyberpunk, and then they showed one below of them working on both at the same time. So I mean it was the most basic thing, like nothing groundbreaking, but they basically could have just said, "Hey, we want to make more than one game at once." And they support that with the studio acquisition, really. I think that's what helps support it, right? Because now they have an extra team, and that extra team can work on other stuff.
So another thing that they had talked about was they acknowledged the issues with the communication in regards to Cyberpunk, and the quote was, "We see that things need to change in the future." It's kind of it's super corporate, it's super generic, but yeah, like they screwed up big time with Cyberpunk, and it's going to be tough to kind of recover from that. I don't know if they'll ever truly recover because they'll always kind of have that stigma, but
I don't know. Just takes one good game to recover. They put out Witcher 4 and it's the best game ever made. Or I shouldn't say that. If they put out Witcher 4 and it's as good as The Witcher 3, no one's going to care. It'll just be like, oh yeah, Cyberpunk happened, but look at Witcher. Right?
yeah, I guess that's true. I
People
look
have
back at Halo
short
5,
memories.
though.
People have short memories. Like if Halo Infinite comes out and it's a banger, which I really hope it is, are we going to care about Halo 5 anymore? I don't know.
No,
I'll
I guess
remember
that's
Halo
true.
5.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like you always kind of remember what happened. Like I know I'm super hyped about Infinite, and I'm super hyped whenever something else comes out because we know that they're putting a lot of care into it. But there's always something in the back of my head that goes, I remember the trailers where, Spartan Locke or Master Chief were pointing guns at each other. I remember all that stuff.
That's because, okay, here's a sports analogy for you, right? And a classic sports quote, right? You're only as good as your last game. Okay? And that's sports, that's video games, right? So like if you're Sidney Crosby, right, and you have a shit last game, well then you're shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Sorry, you're bad. You got to play better, right? It doesn't matter how good you are, you played a bad game. And if you look at video game development, same thing, right? It doesn't matter how talented 343 is or how talented CD Projekt Red is. You're only as good as your last game. And if your last game wasn't good, well then you got to prove yourself again. But then if your last game's really good, then you've proved yourself, right? Like think what's a good example of a studio that put out a bad game and then a good one? Hard to say. Actually, no, there is a good example. I forget the studio that does this, but it's the PlayStation first-party studio that makes Horizon Zero Dawn, that series. They previously worked on Killzone, right?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Name's on the tip of my tongue.
It's Sony. I don't know. All their studio starts with an S. Like it's Sony, whatever city it is. But um,
Super massive.
oh no, it's Guerrilla Games. That's what it is. It's Guerrilla Games.
Okay.
Yes, and didn't start with an S. But yeah, like Killzone as a series was okay, never great, you know. And then they put out Horizon, and they're the hottest studio out there. Like no one really cares about Killzone anymore. So it's kind of the same thing here, right? It's CD Projekt Red. They put out Cyberpunk, and I still think Cyberpunk's a really good game. It's just plagued with performance issues and kind of a controversial launch and all the news headlines and stuff. But if they come out and put out a really good game next time, and there isn't all this stuff hanging over its head, then I don't think it's a big deal. They can recover. But I mean, it's easier said than done. You have to put out a good game, right? So
Yeah, I think there's potential for Cyberpunk to turn around. It's gonna be a while. It really is.
for
And
sure.
speaking of the opposite of a while, which goes into the next talking point, they want to focus on shorter PR campaigns, and they want to wait until closer to a game's launch to show a trailer, a demo, or have an announcement event. Which Cyberpunk famously was announced like 2013, like it was announced a long time ago,
It was announced
and then
before the Xbox One and PS4 came out.
Ooh.
so that's like 7 years before the actual game was supposed to come out. They were already announcing it,
Yeah.
which I don't know, like it's not a great thing to do, but I mean,
Well,
I guess especially in their case, it
I
happened.
think they learned from that, right? The hype cycle was way too long, and it got way too hyped to the point where they could never meet that expectation, right? It's just the issue.
Are there any other games you guys could think of that got oh, okay, I got one. I've got a big one here. And because I bought the game, I know. I never followed trailers, I never followed announcements, I never followed gameplay footage or anything. When YouTube started to become a lot more popular and around like 2006, 2007, when I started going on YouTube, it's been around for a long time for people who don't know. But Duke Nukem Forever was famously announced. It was like 1998,
Yeah.
1999, and it came out,
Yeah,
was it 2011? Something like that? It came
something
out
like
like 12
that.
years after it was announced.
Yeah,
The game, to be fair, in a way, the game went through multiple different engine changes and this and that, and a lot of bad business decisions. Whereas it seems like with Cyberpunk, I don't know how much change. I'd have to research it, but I don't know how much changed in terms of their concepts to um, their execution. Whereas the Duke Nukem was like it was like 4 different games before it actually came out as the one game it came out as. So
yeah.
but regardless, one thing I think is important that they also talked about that they want to do is they want to focus more on polished game footage instead of concepts. Now, this is kind of seems like it's in response to Cyberpunk, and Watch Dogs kind of did this too when it was first revealed. They had a lot of like kind of, and I guess you go back to Halo 2 as well. They had kind of like fake demos where they have something that's specifically developed to look really, really good, so that when you want to go buy it, obviously you're gonna want to pay for it if it looks really good. Watch Dogs got in trouble when it first came out because all these graphical, prettiness and polish was never on the retail release until people kind of found it in the game files. It was just toggled off. Um, and Cyberpunk kind of had that going on for it too, from what I remember. And I'm glad that they don't want to do this anymore because, again, the Cyberpunk I saw was phenomenal. It got me excited for that over a new Deus Ex, which isn't even humanly possible for me. Deus Ex is like the bread and butter for this kind of game, if you ask me. But I'm glad they don't want to do that. Now, if they actually do, it's a whole other story. But I'm glad that they're saying they don't want to show lots of concepts. They don't want to show this kind of stuff. They want to show actual game footage. Any thoughts on this, guys? Let's start with, I guess, Harley,
Hmm.
because you kind of fell victim to this too. I think we all. I think everybody did with Cyberpunk, but
I remember the first trailer. That really was cool. It wasn't. I don't even think it was. It wasn't gameplay either. But yeah, gameplay trailers. No, I remember watching the gameplay trailer for Cyberpunk and getting all hyped up, and then jumping in, and then, uh, well, we know how that goes.
there is an episode for people who are listening. Go back. It's quite a ways now.
It's in December.
But go
Yeah.
back. We had an episode back when it first came out about our first impressions. I would go listen to that for some context on that, but it was not good. Long story short. So at least on me and Harley's front, Tony had a bit of a different experience, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
a good example of a game that's done it really well is or had done it really well in the past is Fallout 4, where they announced Fallout 4 in June at E3 and they released it in November and they just showed gameplay because the game was basically done. So what we saw was the finished product, and there was a super short hype cycle. But it doesn't matter how long the hype cycle is. If your game's awesome, like Fallout 4, it's going to sell, and obviously Fallout 4 sold really, really well. And I think a good comparison for this, guys, would be like, what if they showed the Halo Infinite gameplay demo in July last year, and it was kind of like the Halo 2 demo, where it wasn't really the game, right? It was what they thought the game was going to look like, and our minds were blown. Oh, this is gonna be crazy! And then it comes out in November, and it kind of looks the way it did when we saw it, right? Now, I kind of maintain that the game actually didn't look that bad. It just had some lighting issues and stuff, but like that's disappointing, and that's essentially what Cyberpunk did. So I think it's always good to be upfront with your fan base. I think I always bring it back to Halo because I'm just a Halo guy, but I think 343 did it right when they showed us actual in-engine, like the game was actually running. We were playing the game, and for better or for worse, we saw what it looked like, and we got a delay because of it. And I think that's a good thing. And Cyberpunk maybe should have done that. Maybe they should have shown the Xbox One and PS4 version of the game and just kind of like tested the waters to see what people were thinking. Because clearly what they were showing is very, very high-end PC footage, and in some cases not even the game, just like pre-rendered stuff. So
it's funny you mention showing concrete gameplay footage. It kind of reminded me, I think it must have been 5 or 6 episodes ago. Harley and I had a mini discussion, if you will, not an argument, but like a very
Oh,
heated
you're gonna
discussion
bring
about.
that up?
No, hold on. I do it respectfully about whether when you show a trailer, if you
Oh,
want to
wait.
show in-game stuff or you want to show pre-rendered CG cutscenes. That kind of reminds me of that because if in June or last July, I should say, sorry, if we never got that with Halo and this big, infinite reveal wasn't really anything, I think I would have been disappointed. But and I'm on the same boat with you in terms of it. The game didn't. I mean, it didn't look great. I'll give it that, but it didn't look like terrible. It didn't look like it played terrible either. So it
oh yeah,
depends
gameplay
on.
looked fine. Yeah.
So like, if you go based off that, it wasn't a failure, but fidelity wise, it wasn't what people were expecting. Let's say. Are you gonna say something, Harley, or no?
Uh, I don't remember now.
Because I was right in that argument.
No. I
Tony
think
was
what
right in the end.
you were
Tony's
saying
always right.
how you were saying the difference between like a cinematic trailer and an in-game trailer,
Yeah,
but I think
in-game or cinematic cutscenes. That's what the
we're
argument was.
Yeah.
but here we're talking about the deceiving of this is supposed to be gameplay compared to we know this is a cinematic.
True, I'll give
Yeah.
you that. But I do hearken it back to like I look at a game like Elder Scrolls Online. Whenever they have trailers for a new DLC
It's
or
never
whatever,
gameplay. It's usually never gameplay.
but that's the stuff I want to see. I don't care about a cutscene I'm going to see in the game most likely anyway. I don't want to be deceived into
Mm,
thinking this game's going to have.
I don't
Well,
want to
okay, I'll even
deceive in
think
the
about
game.
Halo 5. Like the opening cutscene's kind of deceiving because you don't do nearly half the cool stuff that Fireteam Osiris does in the game, but they're doing it in the cutscene. I want to be able to do
Okay.
what I see. And if you
Mm.
have a trailer for a game like Elder Scrolls Online, for example, let's say you're fighting a huge dragon and you do all this cool stuff. There's spells you don't see, there's weapons you don't see, and all of a sudden you get the game and you're like, well, that wasn't really what was in the trailer. And if this stuff's supposed to be within the same game, I think I'm losing my argument a bit the more I talk about it.
I
But
think
you kind of see where I'm going.
I think
I think
Sorry, go ahead, Harley.
no, you go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I think MMOs are a little different. That's all. Because gameplay
Okay.
for MMOs is like if World of Warcraft came out every time an expansion was coming out and showed gameplay.
Yeah,
It's a game
Oh,
from
yeah, I'll give you
2004,
that.
bro. Like it is what it is, right? And I think that's just what an MMO is, right? It's just
Yeah.
I don't know if the gameplay is super exciting in MMO. That's
No,
all I was gonna say.
I think I really I understand what you're saying. I get that point, but I think the cinematic isn't meant for that. I think it's just more for like to get you excited about the world and the setting. I think.
There's a place for both.
All right, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a place for both. Cinematics are fine, but we also need gameplay.
Yeah, we
You
need
know,
a good balance.
Yeah.
Let's
In
say
the
that.
end, like I said, in the end, Tony's usually always right. But the one thing that
No,
CD
no.
Projekt Red, the transition, definitely got right. It's not like they've done it yet. This is just what they're promising and what they want to do. And this is a big one, and this is a big one in terms of Cyberpunk. And I want to ask you about this, Harley, specifically, is they want to
Mhm.
show footage from all platforms the game is launching on. Famously, like we've been talking about for the
Right.
last little bit, Cyberpunk really only showed the PC version, which is very misleading because the base Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions well, I don't know what they are like now because I haven't played it. Obviously, I got a refund to get the PC version, but they're not good. They were not good. They were okay enough, but like the functionality was not there. Um, so based on the footage that you had seen, Harley, leading up to the release, and
Mhm.
again, I know the answer, but I just want your perspective. How much of a shock was it to see what the game actually was on the base Xbox One from
Well,
looking at the trailers
the
and
thing
the
is,
gameplay footage and shit?
I'm I kind of expect I feel like most games, like their E3 gameplay trailer usually doesn't look like what the game is going to look like because they obviously want to show it on like super ultra settings, like on like a very souped up computer or rendered like Tony said earlier. So I know it's not going to be like a it's usually not picture perfect. Like I'm not going to be able to look at the trailer and look at my game and like usually can't tell the difference. I'm not saying that's all the time, but
Yeah.
I kind of go in with that idea unless I had like a super expensive PC, that'd be different. But playing on Xbox One, you kind of yeah, whatever. So was I was shocked when I saw other people play the game and I saw like PC players like how their frame rate was and stuff like that, and then comparing it to mine because I know that's just another person playing the game, not like what they are telling me what it should look like. I was, yeah,
The one
I was
thing I remember from all
pretty
this PR campaign stuff with
disappointed.
Cyberpunk and one of the big controversies I remember leading up to the release was there were no review copies handed out, or there were no review copies for those systems handed out. PC obviously had their
Hmm.
review copies, but they kind of held back with the console versions, which
Well, and on
that should have
top
been an
of
immediate red flag.
on top of that, reviewers were not allowed to use their own footage. They had to use the footage that CD
That's right.
Projekt Red sent them. That was the other thing.
That sucks.
First of all, high-end PC
That
codes.
sucks.
Second of all, you can't use your own
Oh,
footage. You have to use this stuff that we sent you.
Third of all that stuff they sent, 90% sure, I'm 90% sure it might have all been pre-rendered stuff. So it's gonna make the game look amazing, of course, right? So
Well, and that was kind of the issue. Like I don't know, they clearly, and the reason they did that because they had a day one patch, right? And that was their reasoning behind it was, okay, look, the console version isn't going to be there yet. The day one patch is going to drastically improve the performance of the game. We know it really didn't that much, but they're like, don't worry about that. Just use this code and you'll be fine. And that was misleading. So
very well. I only have a couple more here before I get to their from and to chart, which I'll explain when I get to it. But one thing they also mentioned was they want to focus on 1 year at a time content roadmaps. And can I just say, I know it was announced kind of with the game, and it's they've talked about it a little bit. Can you just cancel the multiplayer? Does anybody care about a CD Project Red
oh
Cyberpunk
oh
27? I know the people
oh,
that do,
I
but
I,
let's
I
just
heard it got
focus
canceled.
on the game.
I heard it got canceled.
Okay, so as I was doing my research, it might be out of date right now, but when I was doing my research, it was still a thing that the multiplayer was going to happen at some point, which I think is stupid. That when the game launched and it was the way it was, they should have just immediately disregarded any development of multiplayer and then just focused on getting the game good. But if it is canceled, as you're saying, good, that's good. But
um,
that's kind of outside my point of what I was making. But what were you gonna say, Harley?
I'm just quick looking it up right now, and apparently, like 2 days ago, I'm seeing two articles where they might be reconsidering it.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know
I
if
don't know.
reconsidering means canceling or maybe trying to do it again.
Yeah, that's what I read. Yeah, that they're considering either halting production on the multiplayer or completely reworking it.
Okay.
But the multiplayer as it stands is not being worked on at the moment, from what I understand.
So regardless, that wasn't part of this point, but I kind of wanted to say that outside of that point. But anyway, they want to focus on 1 year at a time for content roadmaps instead of laying out their entire plan for multiple years. Very cool. And one thing I got out of researching this as well is that the next gen versions for Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk are in development still, and they will come out this year. So I know, Tony, we had mentioned on the show before. Again, we'll see it when we believe it.
Yeah.
But we had talked about how there was supposed to be a next gen patch kind of by now, but that got pushed to summer. But they're reassuring us that it's still coming out. And the last thing I want to talk about is in the video, they had a kind of where they are now and where they want to get to. And they kind of did a T chart comparing the same thing. One thing they're doing, okay, so for example, on the left side, they want to go from focusing on AAA RPGs. They want to go to focusing on gender blending with the AAA RPG core.
Genre blending?
They want to do genre blending.
There we go.
Oh.
So they want to make more than just a AAA RPG. They want to blend different genres together to make a AAA game around an RPG core.
So I think when I think of that, I think of Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too when I read that.
Yeah, I think of Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect 2, and how like Mass Effect 1 was really an RPG. Like that's all it was. Mass Effect 2 and 3 definitely turned into more of an action RPG. So
another thing on here too, there's 6 points here. So they want to go from just single player games to single player and online, which kind of I guess goes back to they want to with this, Cyberpunk multiplayer. I don't think this is really anything. I think they should and it's weird for me to say this because other games have branched out and been successful with this. You could argue Mass Effect's multiplayer, but if they want to draw their focus away from just single player games, but they're good at single player games, other than you could argue Cyberpunk, but they're good at what they do with single player. And I kind of think back to BioShock 2. I only played the multiplayer like once or twice, but I wasn't really a big fan of it. And BioShock was such a strong single player experience. I thought it was kind of weird for them to want to try and put their fingers into a multiplayer mode. Any thoughts on this, Harley?
Not at the moment.
Tony?
I think it just depends on the game in terms of multiplayer. Like multiplayer and BioShock don't really make sense to me. Multiplayer in Cyberpunk really doesn't make sense to me either.
Oh wait. Okay, yeah, but didn't BioShock have multiplayer?
It did.
Yeah, BioShock.
Yeah.
I think Infinite had multiplayer too, but yeah, BioShock 2 was the first one where they had multiplayer. Like a competitive multiplayer, not like a co-op multiplayer.
I can't remember what game I think I played BioShock 2 multiplayer quite a bit actually.
Oh, really?
I think it was really good.
Oh.
I can't.
Okay, there you go.
I get some of these games mixed up though. It was a long time ago. There was a really cool game though where it was multiplayer and like one team would be like I can't remember if this is a Steam PC game or if it was like BioShock, but one team's like normal humans and then the other team is like creatures and stuff. Anyway, I remember liking BioShock 2's multiplayer.
I remember one game that kind of branched out to multiplayer. I didn't expect it to be good, but I remember we had a lot of fun playing it. And I don't remember the specific title in the series, but I remember we played quite a bit of, I think it was Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, maybe multiplayer or Brotherhood, whatever one it started. I think it was Brotherhood that started introducing. You're hunting for one person.
Yeah,
everybody kind of looks like there's like 4 or 5 of each
you.
person. Yeah, like that was cool.
That was cool.
But it's kind of like a rare occasion when a game that's kind of primarily single player based with a strong focus on it, I should say, branches out into a successful multiplayer. And I don't think this is the right move for CD Projekt Red because I think they should focus really right now, just focus on making Cyberpunk like good.
Yeah.
But
right.
Anyway, so and this kind of goes, the next point kind of goes back to what we were talking about. They want to go from sequential IP development to parallel IP development. As we were talking about before, they want to be able to use their assets and develop multiple AAA titles at a time instead of, you've made massive focus on this one. They want to be able to do it all at the same time. So the next point, they want to go from waterfall development to agile delivery. Anybody have a comment on that?
What's waterfall development?
Again, my research stopped after a certain point because there was a lot of it, but
waterfall and agile.
so they want to go from waterfall development to agile delivery.
First impression, probably wrong, but I feel like waterfall is constant development, and maybe agile is kind of like, here it is. Like,
Yeah,
like say like waterfall,
that's
like
yes, man.
you do like early, like waterfall, like early access, and then you just keep building, like it just keeps going. Whereas like, I don't know, I honestly don't know, but agile maybe just be like a full game, like Star Wars Squadrons, how it's just like, this is the game, we don't really plan on adding much to it.
God, we
Here it
sound so
is.
professional. So I'm looking at the little icons, and I'm gonna base this on the icons. So the icons in the video.
Oh, there's
water-
icons. That
for-
would that
for
would help.
For waterfall, it's not like you're getting kind of close. So with waterfall development, it shows the gear, but it shows arrows
Oh,
pointing
here we
down,
go.
then another arrow, then another arrow. So it
Hold
almost looks
on.
like maybe you go from stage to stage to stage. But with
Oh,
agile, you kind of focus on the whole picture instead of each stage at once. You kind of focus on maybe everything smoothly at once. I don't know the best way to describe this, but regardless, before we get too deep into that, the next 2 points are kind of the most important ones in my head. So they want to go from AAA game focused to AAA and broad IP ecosystem. So going to
hold
mobile
on.
gaming, going beyond gaming.
I just looked it up.
Okay, what's it mean?
So it sounds like agile. So it's saying agile is continuous iteration of development and testing in the software development process, and waterfall is like linear.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I
You
had the
kinda got it.
idea right, but switched. So it sounds waterfall model followed in the sequential order, and so project development team only moves to the next phase of development or testing if the previous step completed successfully. Where agile is you taking constant communication and like constant development and testing.
Okay.
Papertail Fox kind of nailed this in the chat. They said, sounds like they're not going to wait for one team to complete their part before the next group starts work.
Yeah,
Oh.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like it. Thank you,
makes
Paper
sense.
Fox. You're obviously a lot more well versed than we are. But as I was saying,
The bar is pretty low.
And broad IP. Oh god.
The
happened?
stream disconnected.
Oh, did it?
Oh, reconnecting. 1 second. Apparently it reconnected. It said disconnected, and then it said reconnecting.
I heard everything.
You heard everything? We're good? You have it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess Streamlabs told me it crashed, but I guess it didn't. Okay.
So sorry for the hiccup, everybody listening. But so the next point is they want to go from AAA game focused to AAA and broad IP ecosystems. So they want to branch out to mobile, and they want to go beyond gaming. So to me, that says, TV show. They want to go mobile games. They want to go other stuff too with new IPs or existing IPs. I'm not sure. What do you think, Tony?
I mean, they did the Witcher Netflix show. That sounds like what they're talking about.
And they just finished filming season 2.
I saw that.
So I guess that's them just kind of
really
doubling down on what they're already doing, which makes sense. That's how you make the big bucks, man.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
TV shows, movies, comics, books.
Merchandise, toys.
merchandise.
You go all in, man. Like
That's where some of the real. That's where some even the more money is.
totally, dude. Like think
Look
about
at Minecraft.
exactly what I was about to mention. Think about
Yeah,
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many people don't own Minecraft at this
Minecraft.
point. Like I don't know how much sales they're making off of games. Probably still a bunch, but where they're really making money, oh my god, all the merch, the toys, the Lego, all the things the kids are buying. Like that's a money machine, dude. And like even think about
I'm
Halo.
surprised there's no Minecraft the movie.
You're right.
I'm surprised there
Like
hasn't
a
been a
Hollywood
TV show or a
Minecraft
movie or
movie?
something. Yeah.
I'm sure there's definitely like fan made stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely on YouTube.
Yes.
some really poorly fan made like 10-year-old like movie.
Minecraft.
Uh
Actually, wait,
Paper Fox
Minecraft
does
the
not
movie.
own Minecraft.
Like
Good
I'm
for
saying,
her, or good for
that-
him
Wait.
or her. I'm not sure who, but yeah, good for them.
it's a her.
You might be the only person I know. Good for her. Good for you, Paper Fox. I'm proud of you. I think I've owned it 2
Wait,
separate times
wait,
before I had Game
guys.
Pass.
Uh-oh.
I just
what?
looked it up.
What?
Minecraft.
No,
No,
don't. Oh,
it's
no.
this has got. Take this with a huge grain of salt.
The entire
please.
salt shaker.
Minecraft the movie is an upcoming live-action Swedish-American film based on the video game Minecraft. It is being written by Alison Schroeder and directed by Peter Sollett. Originally slated to be released on March 4th, 2022 by Warner Brothers.
Huh.
Cast so far, the only cast member is Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Oh God.
Is Steve Carell gonna play Steve?
I think so.
Oh. I'm in.
Wow, did
I'm in.
And apparently there's
Dear
a teaser.
God. Oh, please no.
Oh, wow.
Please no. We don't. Yeah, Angry Birds was
Did we
shite. We
just-
don't need another mobile game. Stupid. Oh,
That's not a mobile
Okay,
game. Minecraft's a
let's-
PC game that came to everything else.
it's on mobile. Let's focus on the facts here.
A lot of
Renee has
games are
all
on
the
mobile.
We're
Minecraft.
losing.
You can play Kingdom
We're
Hearts on
losing the
mobile, Jim.
track.
Okay,
There
the
you
last point.
Jim.
The last point that CD, so we can close the show here. And we had talked about this earlier too, as one of the other points. But the last point they want to go to is they want to go from being quality focused to team and quality focused, which kind of made me laugh because like were they not focused on
Yeah,
their teams?
Oh,
that's
like-
some corporate bullshit right there. What the hell does that mean?
Like that's like the biggest like nothing point I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like you should be doing that already. You don't want to go to that. You want to be at that right now.
Yeah, like why do you have to
my
say
guess
that?
is that's probably my guess is that's like supposed to be like the response to like those like death threats and that black market sale that of possible like employee IDs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like
I feel
protecting
like
their
that's what
employees more,
that's-
like that kind of stuff.
I feel like that's like a response to that.
Yeah, that
Be
makes
like,
sense.
no, who knows?
I think that makes sense. I mean, it sucks that they have to say it because I
Mhm.
don't know. As an organization, your number one priority should be your employees for the most part,
Yeah,
right? The people who work for you. So,
they're your money makers, man.
well, yeah, you don't have any money if you don't have any employees. So, crazy. Yeah, that's a
So
bit of
all in
a
all-
weird statement, but that's fun.
All in all, it was kind of weird to end my notes off on that, but as we do on this show too, we want to focus on team and quality effort or
The-
whatever they said. I can't remember.
The
now.
quality
I'm
needs some
closing
work
my eyes.
sometimes.
Hey, we're 20 episodes in. I'm pretty sure we're only on the up and up.
That's right.
But
To the moon,
any
baby.
closing thoughts? Any closing thoughts on this? Let's go with you, Harley. So, does this change your perception at all of CD Projekt Red, or are you just as doubtful as you were before they announced all this?
I wouldn't say doubtful. It's just out of my mind, I would say. I'm not holding a grudge against CD Projekt Red. It's just like they just lost me. In a
They
sense.
gotta win you back.
Oh, I mean, Game Pass that would help.
For sure.
I will not say. I won't lie. If it comes on Game Pass, I'll probably download it.
There you go. Are you listening, CD Projekt Red? Of course you are.
That's the next sponsor.
Oh, that'd be
After-
pretty cool. I'm
after
not gonna
G-Show.
lie, that'd be pretty cool. But
Don't worry, Jim. We'll take care
Anyway.
of the email. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I got it. I'm already like halfway done it. So Tony, what do you think about all this? Does this change anything for Project Red for you? Are you happy? You sad? Do you care?
I think it's definitely it's a lot of good news. I like that they acquired that Canadian-based studio. More people with I mean they already had jobs. More people working on their games is a good thing. They already have very large teams in Poland, anyways. But I think that them kind of shifting focus to work on multiple games at the same time, putting a bigger emphasis on quality and team protection and all that stuff. It's all a bunch of speak. You got to see it before you can believe it. But I think it's all good news for the most part. It seems like they're taking it seriously and they're not just like sweeping it under the rug and going, okay, well, Cyberpunk didn't happen. Next time, we'll get it right. This time, it's no. Here's how we screwed up and here's how we're gonna make it better, which is good. Now it's easy to say things. Now comes the hard part, which is the execution. Can they actually really change their company and really change their processes and turn it around and ultimately deliver a great next game and fix Cyberpunk? So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm optimistic for the future. I think they're still a great company. They just they promised too much, and it got them in a bad spot.
Like everybody makes mistakes, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that they've acknowledged it. It's not like they did what EA did with Battlefront 2 and defended their really crappy progression system at the launch of Battlefront 2. But regardless, I'm very hopeful for CD Projekt Red. I loved playing Cyberpunk when I played it with its issues and all that. I mean, I'm still kind of like banged up by how crappy it was at release, and I'll never forget playing the base Xbox One version and just being like, "This is what I got. Like, this is what I was really waiting for." Like,
80,
man,
80 bucks.
like, yeah, this was $80. Like, wow. But I am hopeful. Like, and like you said, they are a really talented company. They've done a lot of good work. And this is definitely a step in the right direction. But they do have a really long road ahead of them. It's in regards to Cyberpunk, at least, they have a long time before this will probably be in the state. It'll never be what they promised. Promises are a big thing to make, and they're even harder to deliver on, especially in the gaming scope or in the gaming universe when you have a game of this scope and a game of this size, and a lot of these concepts they had shown. But regardless, I'm happy they did this in a way. As much corporate talk as there was throughout, there is still a lot of honest talk in there, and I'm glad that they're moving in the right direction. It's just a matter of, let's keep moving in this direction. Let's not have another big setback. Let's just keep this ship rolling smooth, and let's just hyper focus on getting this thing really good.
Yeah, and I think a good comparison for CD
Nice.
Projekt Red is Xbox and how they launched with the Xbox One and that initial reveal with DRM, always online, no used games, can't share your games, all that stuff that they had, mandatory Connect bundled in. Like, Xbox really ruined their reputation with that, and I think they're still recovering from it. But I mean, they kind of just put it behind them and they just focused on fixing their mistakes. And now they're just like now look at them. Now they got Game Pass, which is awesome, and they're very 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 consumer friendly in everything that they do for the most part. They had that hiccup earlier in the year with trying to increase gold prices, but they went back on that immediately. So, I mean, I think that's a good comparison to CD Projekt Red, where they kind of had a disaster, same way Xbox had a disaster. But now the work begins. Now you start to mend, you start to fix, and you start to win back your customers. Now comes the hard work.
Yeah, and like every game company makes mistakes. BioWare had Mass Effect Andromeda. Um, you can and I'm only gonna say you can kind of argue because I know they're all still good games, but you could argue, it's really escaping me who did BioShock. I don't know why it's escaping me, but people argue that too, and to a certain extent, Infinite are not as good quality. BioWare also had to go back to them. They also had Dragon Age 2, the console version. I think the PC version was more well regarded, but the console versions of Dragon Age 2. Um, IDOS made the Deus Ex series, but people, the second one's really not nearly as good as the other ones. It's still fine. It's just not as good, not nearly as good as the other ones. So every game company makes mistakes. They're fixable mistakes though too in the end. So hopefully they can fix it. And that concludes like the single longest ever segment of Cyberwatch I think we'll ever have on this show until some other
next
crazy
week.
news comes out. Oh God, I hope not. I
Next
love
week.
talking. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I talk a lot. I hope
feel
I don't
like
have to talk like
that's
this next week because
universal,
my
where people
throat is
don't like the sound of their
killing me,
voice.
man. Oh my God. Yeah. Next week might be a different story with voice mod. But anyway, that concludes
Oh.
Cyberwatch. Let's we should roll this one out.
Yeah, so before we do that, quick segment, and on some more positive news. What are we looking forward to playing? I'm going to quickly mention 2 games that aren't out yet. MLB The Show 21, going to download that on Game Pass. And at the end of this month, new Pokemon Snap's coming out. That is not lost on me, so I'm very excited to play that. It's going to be a fun little game. Jim, you?
And I only have one answer really because it's been kind of really fun reigniting my fandom with this series. But I'm really excited to keep playing Diablo 3. It's
Cool.
been really fun on PC. It's kind of I don't know, it's kind of starting to turn into like the way to play the game for me, even though I know the console version is a little smoother with the menus and all that. But just playing Diablo 3 on PC after not being able to for so long, actually having a game PC now. It's really I don't know, I'm really interested in the world of Diablo again, and it's really exciting after being a fan for, literally like 20 years. So, yeah.
Stuff. Harley, what about you, man?
Some more Valheim.
Oh, yeah.
Some Phasmophobia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the spooky boys.
And then like later this month, some Devour. When that
When
comes
does
out.
it?
Oh
When
wait,
does the map come out?
I
Is it this
believe
month?
it.
Or
Yeah, I
no,
believe
that's
it's like
another question.
April, like 25th or something like that.
Ooh.
End of the month, I believe.
Also, the new Among Us map is out, so we should play that at some point.
Yeah, Airship. Oh,
Airship.
did you guys there's a Halo Easter egg in it.
Oh, is there?
Is there?
Yeah, there's a. Should I say it or?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
There's a red energy sword.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
And apparently there's references to other IPs too.
That's kind of cool.
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Harley, are you ready to take us out of here?
Take us out of here.
Take us out
Does
of here?
that mean we're
Are you
done?
gonna do it?
I think we're done.
I don't have enough.
Stall. Stall. Wait
maybe next week.
Okay. That's fine.
I gotta figure some stuff out.
That's okay.
But yeah, I guess it's the end. It was pretty great, wasn't it, guys?
That was great.
Stop.
You know, pats
Yeah,
on the back.
so-
Great job, boys.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of us this week. We did a good job.
We're the Drake
So for
meme of Drake
listeners,
standing up and
yeah.
clapping. That's us.
For listeners, like, this was awesome. I bet you want to listen to another one, right? So why don't you subscribe and hit that bell notification? Also leave a like, because that also helps. Thank you. Thank you very much. We love you all. I'm going off. I'm rambling.
I'm gonna confuse myself again.
All our socials are in the description.
Yep.
If people want to find you, Tony, where can they do that?
You guys can find me on Twitch. Search up Figure09, and then Twitter, I'm at Figure09TV.
And just before that, I see Superfish in the chat. Did you like that?
Did you like that?
Did you like
Jim,
that?
did you like that? And where can they find you?
Wait, you're talking to me now? Oh,
Yeah, Jim.
if you search Power Grudge on Steam, on Xbox, on GOG Galaxy, on the Epic Games Launcher, I'm everywhere.
All right.
Very good. Well, that concludes the 20th episode of Follow My Tracers. We made it to 20, boys.
20 is an impressive number.
Yeah.
I like
Here's another 20 more.
That's right.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
All right, everyone.
I'm excited.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend. Play some games. See you later.
Bye.
Have a good one.